The fleeting notes phase is probably the most misunderstood because it's often brushed off. Most people just go straight into the literature notes, which I don't understand. But hopefully, what I get across to you over the next 2 weeks is that you really can't tap into your thoughts with book report summaries simply written in a different way. Because you don't want a collection of notes that are shallow and not really your own thoughts. You can, but that's what often makes people go, yeah, Zettelkasten, I tried that a couple months ago. It doesn't work for me. See, Sonke didn't add or take anything away from what Nicholas Luhmann was doing. He basically translated the process and delivered it to the world, the original way of doing it. But I also want you to consider that in the 50s and 60s, when Luhmann really developed his ideas of this communication partner, he didn't have as many distractions as we do now. And just like I stated in the live session yesterday, he could write one-word fleeting notes. But that's because he had the time and focus to think about what he was reading in those books and literally spending every waking moment grappling and wrestling with those complex ideas. See, there was no algorithm to keep refreshing the screen. There was no infinite scroll that functions like a slot machine of notifications. But I think you know that. Because you know that feeling you've all been feeling this week? That feeling of concentration, focused, effortless flow? See, you've been doing fleeting notes this whole time. Let me show you. What happens if I take the question and I swap it out for a tag that says fleeting notes? Interesting, huh? And if I had a summary at the top, voila. A quick phrase to capture what you've been wrestling with in a focused manner, easily collapsible or expandable if you ever need to go back and see how you came to that conclusion. And I also want to add, you know that timestamp that I've been making you do? That was actually a way to get you to tap into the dopaminergic systems, which is based on the hypothesis that the mesocortical limbic dopaminergic system functions as a reward pathway and modulates goal-directed behavior. I don't know why I like doing that. Or in English, if you set a goal, see yourself making progress towards that goal, you get a dopamine hit. Plus, it's also the first domino. And remember what I said, you only have to actually knock over the first one. So, going back to fleeting notes, there's two parts to this. The capturing of the fleeting notes, which encompasses a specific workflow that fits your idiosyncratic behavior, which we'll work on in week 6, and the processing of those fleeting notes into new permanent notes added to the Zettelkasten, which will all come together in week 4. For now, I just want you to focus on why everyone else was missing this key idea about slowing things down by simply writing in Rome, instead of relying on 50-year-old ways of working that merely copy-paste the workflow. But I think it's because no one was really considering how things were in Luhmann's day. And even though 50, 60 years doesn't seem that long of time, just remember the invention of the hashtag has only been around since 2007. Sonke's book came out in 2017. The technology inside of Rome that caused a lot of hoopla, well, Rome opened their gates June of last year. A fleeting note in the digital realm can play a huge part in slowing things down and digesting what you're consuming, as long as we have a frictionless way of writing. And because we aren't limited to little 3x5 note cards that are custom made to be as thin and as light as possible, we have so much more freedom to induce, yes, induce critical thinking about an idea that popped out at us. If we only realize that's part of the unwritten process that Luhmann developed in the 50s and 60s. See, he had the time. We have the technology. I'll see you in the guided writing exercise. Week 2 begins now.